So, this is my magic commercial moment. I am Ward Bell. I am behind this open source product called Breeze for, it's both for HTML5 developers, and if you're a C# developer, there's a .NET version for that as well, for Xamarin and things like that. That's my Twitter handle up top, and on we go. I should have said what it is. Breeze is a framework layer for single-page applications that want to manage their data because they have rich data and they want to validate it, cache it, query it, take it offline, that kind of thing. Okay, so Mean is a JavaScript technology stack for single-page apps. What do we mean by that? It's an HTML JavaScript client application. It's hosted in a web page, a single web page. That's the single part, which acts as a frame that's downloaded once. Henceforth, it executes autonomously in the browser. When the time comes, I'll just have to switch over, because I can't type and do this at the same time. So it executes autonomously in the browser, just sitting there, and it doesn't go back to the server unless it needs something it can't do on its own. And that allows it to go offline and do a variety of other things. So this is a good model for web applications. It's not for websites. You wouldn't do a search site with it. It's where you have to maximize the responsiveness of the user because you want to be close to the most important resource you have, which is the human being close to the machine. And then you minimize the server interaction. So that's what a single page app is. And that's really Mean is targeting that kind of application. So what do we mean by a technology stack that's JavaScript? Well, what is the technology stack? It's these things, and once you have this intuition, you can go home. You've got a database, and that's the M. That's the Mongo. Express is going to be your web server. Angular is going to be the tool with which you construct your front end, the client. And then Node is going to be the server-side runtime environment. So why Mean? Well, from our perspective as developers, it's because it's nice to us. We get one language to program in across the entire stack. It's really easy to get started, and it's easy to understand once you get your JavaScript chops, because you're not changing gears all the time. It's really easy to change what's going on, and you're going to find out about all of this as you watch me go. And it's open source, that's kind of nice, and it has a really vibrant and exciting community around it. So it's easy to get plugged in, and that's fun. And that's all good for us, but what about the people who pay us? Why should they like it? Or do they like it? Is it just one of those toys? Well, the fact of the matter is that it isn't like you just develop the toy and then you have to redevelop it somehow. You really deploy what it is that you build. There are a lot of large commercial deployments of the Mean stack. We're talking places like Walmart and so forth. It has many large backers, lots of funding in all of the stack layers. So what we're going to do, the three of us today, is we are going to build this little application on the left-hand side there where you enter the question that interests you, and other people vote on it. You'll be able to go to a particular site. We'll give you the link at the break. All right? And you'll be able to vote things up and down. And we're going to build that, well, we're going to pretend to build it. We're going to build it from scratch. In order to do that, though, we're not going to be able to spell it Mean. We're going to have to spell it NEMA, because we're going to go from the back to the front. I am going to do the Node and Express. My friend Matt's going to do Mongo, and my friend Alicia is going to do Angular. OK, what is Node? It is a runtime. It's not a server, it's a runtime. And that means, actually, it even comes with a REPL, so I can fire it up and start finding out what 1 + 3 is, and stuff like that. That's stuff that you've always wanted to do in JavaScript, and now you can, right there in Node. The thing that we should know, though, is that Node is for JavaScript developers, but it's not written in JavaScript. Sometimes I hear people say, it can't be any good because JavaScript isn't performant. Well, it's not written in JavaScript. All right? It's written in something else. I think it's C. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's important to know that that's a place for you to program, but it itself is not written in JavaScript. The next thing that's really helpful to know is that it's a particular dialect of JavaScript. Unlike writing in the browser where you have to worry about whether it's an ECMAScript 3 browser or it's this dialect or that, hey, you get one. You get one programming model. And if you've ever had to do, you don't have to worry about that cross-browser stuff which drives you mad, right? So you've got one, it's called ECMAScript 5. It will soon, in its next version, be ECMAScript 6. There's no DOM to worry about. There's no DOM to talk to. You don't have a browser. That's mostly a good thing. You don't have to worry about shims. And one of the key characteristics of programming in Node is that it's got a single event loop. It has no threads, so there are no concurrency issues. You're not going to have to worry about shared data. All right? But it does mean that you're going to have to learn to program in this event loop style. You're going to have to, if you have never programmed asynchronously before, well, you will now. Modularity is key to the way in which Node is constructed. So you actually build your application with other modules that other people have written, and then you export your own module. And it's just like that. Require them what you need, export what you're going to have other people consume. Now Node ships with a bunch of core modules. All of them, these I'm showing you, are ways to interact with the underlying operating system, whatever that operating system is, by the way, because it's cross-plat. You can run it on Windows, you can run it on Linux, you can run it on anything. And there's a package manager called NPM that also comes with it, which is how you can get modules from somebody else. So you got core modules, and then you got the modules you can get from somebody else, including your own, which you can register. All right? So it becomes this whole ecosystem. Now, it also comes with some core modules to help Node act as a server. All right? And those are the ones you'd kind of expect. You'd have something to help talk to the HTTP stack, to the TCP stack. You have some way of finding what the paths were. You might have be able to zip up stuff over the wire, right? But it's really just the basics for building a server. So, and we're going to come to that in a second. So let's think about some of the design considerations, though, if you were to take on Node, because there's some things you have to keep in mind. All right, that async paradigm I talked about, that's new for a lot of people. All right, you've only got one thread. You better be careful what you do with it. You better not try and chew it up, because you'll be blocking everybody else who's trying to hit you. All right, so get in, get out. You're going to have all these modules. That's great. Go shopping, get it. But then you've got to know what's in those modules. It's up to you to decide what modules you're going to have, and are they safe? All right? A lot of other environments, you just take it out of the box and you count on the vendor to make sure that everything you get is safe. You have to watch that. So let's talk very clearly about what the ideal workload is for a Node server, because it's not like if you've ever done any other kind of server programming, it's not the same. You're really looking for something that's I/O bound. All right? That's like come in, get the file, turn it around, send it back. Come in, get something, turn around, send it back. That's what you're looking for. You don't want to sit here and calculate pi, or the meaning of life. That means little computation. You try not to do any computation, get in, get out. Now it turns out that that's what a lot of servers do. So it's really well suited for high volume kinds of activities on servers, but it wouldn't be the place to have a JavaScript voice analysis program. Now, what you can do, however, is if you have something that's really compute bound, you can always asynchronously send the task off to whatever that into some other language, into something that is going to do any kind of heavy computation. All right? That's in fact how Node itself is built. That's how when you'll see us talk to databases, that's what's going on. You're actually talking to a plug-in module that's written in something else, not JavaScript, that's going to grind away on another thread and then asynchronously come back. All right, so you get this hybrid. It's perfectly possible to to plug into highly compute-intensive processes, but they wouldn't be part of Node itself. You would be talking to them asynchronously. So let's build a server in Node. That's all the code it takes. I'm not actually going to do it this way, so I'm not even concerned about it. But you can see it's only a few number of lines, fire it up, and then you launch it, and then you browse to it, and you're good to go. There's your entire server. Well, That's really not going to be good enough for industrial strength. And as a matter of fact, you wouldn't want to write it in raw Node. So one of the things that many people do is they've written modules on top of Node to sort of take care of the next level of things that you would have to do on a server. And that's what Express is about. It's a web app that rides on top of Node. And that means that it's itself a Node module that will be required. And it enriches the whole HTTP stack with all this kind of stuff that you might think you want to do in a real server, right? I mean, that's what a real server does, and a whole lot more. Now, one of the keys, though, is that Express can do some of this, but it doesn't do it all itself. Just like Node, it's a system of modules, but it's a pattern. It's a pattern, and it's a stack of middleware pattern. That's what I'm going to talk to you about. So what is middleware? It's a function. It's a function without signature. It takes a request, response, and a next function. All right, what you can do in there is you can examine the request, find out what the client sent you. You can turn around and report something back, send something back in the response. Or you can say, I don't know, it's not for me, move on, next thing, by calling next. See that? Okay, so here's a typical middleware flow. API request comes in, goes into a piece of middleware. See that signature? Well, in this one, we're just going to log it, and we're going to call next. So we flow through to the next piece in the stack. All right, static file handler. So we say, hey, is that file for me? Are they asking for a file I know about? If so, send it. Send it back to the client, we're done. No, it's not for me. I'm just going to call next. All right, so then we go to an API handler. Maybe it's for an API. So we call out to some function, right? And we say, hey, is this request for you? It comes back with data. Cool. We send that data back to the client. All is well. Ta-da. Or maybe not. Well, now what do? We keep falling down through the stack. Not found handler. And in this case, we'll send a 404. OK? See how that works? Just stack. OK. I lied. It's really two stacks. Nobody tells you this. Well, they do, but you have to look for it. There's a happy stack and a not so happy stack. All right? How do I tell them apart? Well, there's our regular stack. You know, the happy path. Those are the three. If you write a function that takes exactly 4 variables, these are parameters. These are the 4 parameters it takes. The first one is that ERR, which you may, yes, that's error. So let's see how this works. We go OK so far, and oh, bad, a new error. So we call the next function with that, and you cross over to the sad stack path, where something, I hope, is waiting for it. Well, fortunately, we're able to fix it. It's all better. I call next with nothing, and I'm back onto the happy path. Oh, it's still too bad. OK, call it again. So we come back over here. And this is our give up error handler. And we send a 500, and it's over. OK? So you can bounce back and forth between these. They're all stacked up, like I was talking about, but you have these 2 worlds. OK, so enough slideware. And now for the High-Wire Act, because I'm going to start building this application. If you will be willing to hold that for me, that will make it a lot easier. We have a handler? OK, I love a handler. I'll have to put the glasses on, too. All right, let's start in the terminal window. And we're going to go Express. This is weird, having that in here. Let's see if I can. Am I in there? Da, da, da. I'm not able to type. Holy moly. What's going on in there? OK, we'll try again. None of my keystrokes are appearing. That is wonderful. Let's hold that thought. Well, nothing's been generated yet either, so that's a good thing. When in doubt, try a new window. CD, what do we call it? Mean demo / backend. And I'm typing, how about that? Give the guy a hand. All right, EJS. Okay, so what it just did is it used an express generator, which is just, you know, it's a scaffolding thing. It just dumped some stuff out for me, and you can see over here that I started to get stuff. You can't see the bottom of the screen. Oh, because you're in the back. I have no power to change that, but I will pull things around if I can possibly do it. So you can see that, right? No? How about that? How are we doing? Can you see that in the back? Good. All right. It's going to get crazy here. It's going to get crazy in a minute. All right. So I'm going to go into here, and here is the packages, the Node packages we were talking about. And I'm going to add, these were all scaffolded out for us when I said Express. So I'm going to add 2 more, one for cores and one for Mongo. We'll talk about cores in a little bit. All right, and that is all, this stuff is all the stuff I need. So I am going to go get it, and I just say, using the package manager, npm install. Chugga, 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 chugga. Ooh, things are happening. I can see spinnies. And blah, 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 blah. Come on, home free. All right, so you see this Node modules up here showed up, and all the stuff we asked for showed up. That's a good thing. That's what we're looking for. So we're feeling really confident now. We're going to run it. npm start. And it didn't say anything, but I'll bet you if I refresh here, ta-da, welcome to Express. Right. Hey, thank you very much. We're all done. Well, maybe not, because that's not really what we want to do. We want to have a data server here. So here's my app.js, which is the server stuff. And notice all these requires. I kind of showed you them before. It's loading all these modules. Actually, the Express generator, what it wants to do is build you a server that's capable of being a model view controller server that's sending generated pages and stuff like that. But we want a data thing. So see this view engine here. Say goodbye to that. Nah, we don't need any of these roots. Who wants that? No. Because we're not generating pages. We're going to be a data server. And we don't need any of that. Nah. All right, and I'm going to change, see this render thing in here? Render is what you would do if you were rendering pages, but we don't render pages. We don't do that. So we're going to have our own, just turn around and send the JSON back, whatever it is. All right. And I'm going to do that, and let's get rid of this one. And I'm going to put on something called nodemon. Nodemon, bin/dub. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, yes, it's going. What this is going to do is, as we make changes, it'll restart the server every time it sees that I made a change. This will make our development so much more fun. Is this still working? OK, message not found. That makes sense. We sent a request. We took away everything that could render everything. It fell right to the bottom, right through the error hang, and bang, we got back an error message. Exactly like we wanted. Back here, you see 404? This is exactly what we want. Well, but we want to build something, so let's go build something. Now, I had said bin/dub. This is going to be a data server, so 3000 is usually where people go for their application, so I'm changing this to 4567, and I'm going to go console.log. All right, and I'll save this, and this may start up again, and if it doesn't, I can just kick it. And now when I come back here, you notice that it said it was now listing on 4567, so I am expecting this not to be good. Sad face. But we would expect that it will actually work on 4567. So we're back in business. All right? We just switched where we're going. Well, as long as we're going to switch where we're going, this presents a problem for us because now we've got 2 servers that are going to be talking to each other. One of them is going to be your application, and it's going to reach across to talk to another server. Now, many of you out there may have heard about the same origin policy that prevents a browser from doing that. All right? Well, that's not a problem for us because we are going to introduce the wrong thing there. We're going to introduce, that's not it either. I know what I was going to do. I jumped. See, I screwed it up. Actually, normally, I don't really want any data at all. I'm going to close this up. But what I do want is a little test page. So I'm going to create a little test page here. And this is going to be MD3. That's going to be my HTML that I want to serve, and I got to save that. Hang with me. I'm going to put it right here, index.html. All right, now I've got one of these, and I believe when I save this, we're going to get a restart over here. Da-da-da-da. See, look at it restarting. Isn't that nice? And now when I refresh 4, 5, 6, 7, I get a test page. So I can serve static assets out of this, and this is a static page. Normally I wouldn't have that, but while I'm developing, it's nice to have a little page I can test my API out with, right? And we're going to be doing that. OK, so now that we've done that, now I can get back to my core story, which if I turn my notes, there we go. So I have to be ready to have CrossOrigin things. And what I have to do is I have to tell the server, be nice to those people who call about, who are calling CrossOrigin. And so there's a piece of middleware, hey, middleware, express all the way, drop it in, and there's cores. So that's one I can take off the shelf. And now I'm ready to create my own middleware. I'm going to create my own router middleware. And because what we're going to do is anytime a request comes through that goes /API something, then that we know it's for us. We know we're going to serve data over that because this is our data server. All right, so I got that set up. And it's time really for us to actually create this thing. So I'm going to go out to, let me close that up. I'm going to go out to this little folder called roots here. I don't care about that one. That's garbage. This is the one that we used to be serving that original page, and it rendered and all that stuff, and we don't care because we are going to put our own thing in there, and I'm going to guess that that's MD6. Aha, OK. So now that looks like a set of routes, doesn't it? Looks like a set of API routes. Doesn't have the lead API. Why doesn't it have the lead API? Let me kill that. Because what I've done is I've said, hey, this router mounted at API. So anything that goes API, that'll start there. But everything that comes after the /API gets routed here. And if you've ever seen router stuff before, you know that this is going to be looking for /questions with a token that means the ID. So that's probably the get ID thing. And this is get all questions and a bunch of other stuff. And we'll be seeing how this works. OK, but I've set up this little router. Now I actually got to do something with it. And you can see that it says something about data here. And it's got to get that from somewhere. And what that is that's going to be a data service. So I'm going to require that data service, I hope. Yes, notice, data require data service. All right, we haven't built it yet, but I'm going to require it. And that's going to be a little service thing, and that's going to have methods on it. And we're good to go. Every time somebody comes in and asks for questions, it'll go data get questions. You with me? So let's go do that. I do need to add a new folder here, which I will call data service, because that's what it's looking for. Whoa, that got small. And now I'm going to create a new file here, and let's save that, and let's remember where that's going to go, because that's going to go under our data service. And we're going to call this is Node index.js. All right? Basically, well, I don't have time to explain it, but that's a typical name for something that starts at the top of a folder. All right, so let's now get that stuff. Let's see if I've got an implementation of that. Oh, I do. All right, so it's a not implemented implementation, but it's an implementation. So I'm going to save this, by the way. I'm going to save that. Oh, my server's crashed. Oh, it's terrible. No, it's not. It's going to be fine. All right. Now I've got an implementation of it, and look, it's healthy again. Isn't this fun? I get to keep writing and crashing and having it come up again. All right. So let's try this. And now if I go for bad file, well, I get message not found. But if I say get all questions, I get data service method not implemented. Hey, I'm working. I'm routing. All right? If I give it a bad route, all right, it's going to message not found. But if I give it any of the good routes, I get message not implemented. I get to see what I sent it. All right? I'm on my way. All I got to do is start implementing these data service methods. So let's try that. Why not do this one? So I'll just say when it asks for get questions, hope there's a get questions method. Let's put one in. And ignore the man behind the curtain while he tries to remember where he's going. There we go. All right, there's our get questions method. Comes in, get questions, send questions. That's cool. Don't have any questions, but if I had some, I would send them. All right, let's try, let's get those. Wrong. Ah, okay. We're going to get some questions from some sample data. And when we get those questions, we'll have something to send. But I don't have any sample data yet, do I? We can fix that because I'm going to type incredibly fast. Boom. Scary how good I am, aren't I? I am one hell of a good programmer, I'll tell you. This is what our question object looks like, and it's kind of interesting, and it'll play into our Mongo world. First of all, that is a Mongo ID. It's not just any ID, and we'll see, Matt will tell us why that's important later, as also why that name is important. But the other thing I want you to say is, you know, if you're used to relational, you're used to having flat tables, but what is that? Okay? It's a nested array. It's an object. It's a JSON object. I can have any amount of structure I want in here. That's one of the cool things about Mongo. It's also a cool thing about an in-memory database, which is all I know right now. I've got an in-memory database. All right, so I'll save that. And I'm going to call that sample data.js because that is what we're pulling in here. Now, so the big question is, did anything good happen? Not yet. Are we worried? Of course we are. Get API questions, 500. That can't be good. Oh, you know, you do these things 10 times and then it comes out. Get questions, sample data. Did I put it in the right place? Sample data.js. Let's kick it again. Ah, that was it. I just had to kick it. You got to kick the server every once in a while. Let's see, did it happen this time? And it's not so good. Not so good. I've done this 10 times. And oh, how about if I save the file? That might help. Let's start it again. Maybe that's why it didn't start. Hey! Thank you. Woo! I thought I was going to have to just like cut my throat and be gone. Okay, so you do have to save. You know, that can't, yeah, like, what are you doing? All right, so that's good. How about get questions by ID? I think I'm running a little over, but I know Matt will be nice and won't mind. So let's do that one, and that's that looks like this. All right. We're going to find the question, and if we find the question, we're going to send it, and if we don't, it's not so good, and we're going to tell them that. But where does that come from? Let's try and implement that, shall we? Now, here's what I want you to see. The request comes with parameters. Remember, this thing has a token, so I can pick up those parameters, and then this is an in-memory database, and I can go look for it, and if I get a question, it's all good. And here's my 404, and let's see what happens. Did it restart? We'll know as soon as I come back here and try get question by ID. Oh, I'm living large. All right, we're good. We're good. Well, how about get the top 3 questions? Not so good. All right, see these vote counts? It's all over the place, and it's certainly more than 3. So I'm missing something. What am I missing? Well, it turns out that you can pass a query string to this get questions, and I can sort by votes, and I can page up and down, and so clearly I need some extra code here. And let's see if I can come up with that code. What am I up to? Well, let's try this one. Ba-da! Sort, tape, and then I make this. I'm going to quickly do this. So whatever this function is that it does, we're going to send its output back to the client, res send. All right, what does it do? It takes the request. And here's the interesting thing. Remember, it's a query string, so instead of rec params, I go rec.query.something. And if it says votes, I'll sort it one way, and if it doesn't, blah, blah, blah. And if it says offset, that's my skip, and if it says limit, that's my take, and you guys get the idea. All right? So if I'm lucky here, this works. We'll go back, and we'll try the top 3 questions. Well, I got 3, and it's starting with a vote count of 100, and then 50, and 36. Ta-da, just like that, I've enabled a query that has parameters. It has query parameters. For our last trick, we're going to create a new question. All right. Da, 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 da. Create question. Hey, that's a post. I'm not going to be able to play around with my browser thing anymore. But let's see what it does anyway. Look at this. It fishes something out of the body. I'm going to send a post and I'm going to send the body. And the body's going to have the stuff I need to create a question and save it into my database, which in my case is just a big old array because it's in memory. All right. Well, does it work? It's a post. I can't do it here. But fortunately, there's this wonderful tool called Postman, which lets me create all kinds of HTTP requests. And I've got these in here, and when you go to the code, because all this code is available to you, you'll have these already prepared for you. So I can create a new question here, and that's the question, and I'm going to send it. And if I'm lucky, oh, sad face. But I know what this one is. Yep, I created the function, but I didn't tell it to use it. All right, so am I good? Kick it. All right, we will try this again. We will come back here and we will press send. Oh, well, and you know what? We're not going to take time to figure this out because it. See you people. That's why I had to kick it. Oh, look at that. Oh, without you, what would I be? There it is. Hey, thank you. And if we get all of our questions and we go to the bottom, is Alfie there? What's it all about? It is, all right, with your help, we built an Express server, and it's going against an in-memory database, and all we need is a real database. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Matt over here, who's going to tell you all about Mongo.